Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley, and Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this, they lob it to him, he taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3, he's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I am Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And we waited a month, but it has finally happened. Aaron Rodgers is a New York Jet. It is official. The trade happened on Monday. The teams will be exchanging first round picks in this year's draft. The Packers get, I think, the Jets' second round pick in this year's draft as well. Both teams, I think, get late round picks. And the biggest thing here is if Rodgers plays 65% of the snaps, the Packers' second round pick that they're supposed to get next year becomes a first round pick. So it finally happened, and the big question is now on the Jets side, are they the best team in the AFC East with this move? Are the Jets the best team in the AFC East? And I still don't think they are. I think it's very close between them and the Bills. I understand they beat the Bills last year. I understand they came close to beating the Bills when they were in Buffalo last year as well. But I still am going to go with the continuity and the team that has won the division in the last 3 years. I still think the Bills are the best team in the division. But the Jets are clearly the second best team in the division with this trade, seeing that they have the offensive and defensive rookie of the year, the offensive rookie of the year in Garrett Wilson, the defensive rookie of the year in Sauce Gardner. Their defense is really, really good. I mean, this might be arguably the best roster that Rodgers has played on in his career. So I don't think they're the best team in the AFC East, but they're clearly the second best team in the AFC East.
No, I'm with you. I think they're the second best team right now in the AFC East. Yeah, I think the Bills still kind of own that top spot. But, yeah, the Jets aren't far behind. That's a team last year that won 7 games with not much quarterback play, a bunch of injuries, and now you add a guy like Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, they're right there. It's the second best team right now. The quarterback was a big issue. Joe Douglas has done a great job drafting. They got a bunch of good, really young talent right now. As you mentioned, last year, the offensive, defensive player, rookie of the year. So, for the Jets right now, the future's really bright and the first time really in about a decade. So, for the Jets, they get out of the basement now in the AFC East, and they're right there. Again, they could definitely, I see them splitting with the Bills possibly, but yeah, I think right now the Bills still look better than them, but they're lurking right behind them.
Absolutely. And I think the next question is are the Jets a Super Bowl contender with this move? And they absolutely are. They absolutely are a Super Bowl contender looking at this defense. And don't forget, last year Yeah, I know Aaron Rodgers had probably his worst year, maybe one of the worst years of his career, but he still right now is clearly a top 10 quarterback. Last year, he had new receivers. I know he did not work out with those new receivers, and that's on him. That's on him. A guy like Tom Brady works out with those guys and makes them better. That's on him. But he also broke his thumb in week 5 against the Giants when O'Shane Ximines hit him on the last play of the game. So he's also playing with a broken thumb and had new receivers. So I absolutely think this team is a Super Bowl contender with the defense they have, with the skill guys they have. Breece Hall, he was on his way to maybe even winning, offensive rookie of the year if he doesn't get hurt last year. And obviously you got Garrett Wilson. You got a guy like Alan Lazard who he knows. So I think this Jets team is in great shape going into this season. And I think they clearly are a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think they're right there. You bring in Aaron Rodgers, who's one of the best quarterbacks. Yeah, last year to struggle. You mentioned it was on him last year for kind of the struggles for some of it. Obviously injuries, happen. But yeah, for him, I think the Jets are, for how young that team is and for the young talent that they have, they're right there. And I think that they have the offense now with Rodgers where they could put up some points and they can keep up with the Joe Burrows of the world. Maybe even Kansas City, the Chargers, they have that, and even the Bills. Like they kind of, when you add a guy like Rodgers and what we saw last year from that young talent that they got around on that offense, it's definitely a team that's capable, that they can kind of keep up with the Bengals and the Chiefs, and with their defense too. They'll keep them a lot of games. So yeah, I think the Jets right now are Super Bowl contenders.
Absolutely. And you talked about the Bills and the Chiefs and the Bengals. The big question is where do you put the Jets in the AFC right now? And I put them fourth. I do still have the Chiefs, still have the Bengals, they still have the Bills ahead of them because those are the big three, and they have the top 3 quarterbacks in football. And they all, they all are have been really good teams the last couple of years. But I put them fourth. I put them ahead. I put them ahead of the Jaguars, even though Trevor Lawrence is really good and that team is on the rise. I put them ahead of the Chargers. That team couldn't hold a 27-0 lead in the first round. The playoffs. I put them out of the Chargers. I put them out of the Dolphins because I can't trust Tua is going to stay healthy. So right now, I have the Jets fourth. I have them as the 4th best team in the AFC going into this season.
Yeah, right now I have them 4th. If Lamar comes back for Baltimore, I probably put them 5th. So I right now have them 4th. I could see them the 5th if Lamar Jackson goes back to Baltimore. But yeah, they're right there. Yeah, they're definitely right now still a little bit, they're not too far away from being right there with the Bengals, Bills, and Chiefs. But yeah, I think 4th is a fair spot for them for what they have with the talent they have. Robert Saleh has done a good job, so far, with that young team, and with everything that kind of happened last year. I think the Jets right now should be 4th in the AFC. But yeah, they're mentioned a few minutes ago, they're not too far behind. They have the talent to beat any of those teams. But again, Joe Douglas done a great job drafting. Maybe a couple, big pieces that they get this weekend. Maybe it, launches them up even closer to being in that top 3.
Absolutely. And 2 things. One, what you said about the Ravens, I think they're better than the Ravens. If Aaron Rodgers is still a top quarterback, they're better than the Ravens because they got a better defense than the Ravens. I think they got a better skill group than the Ravens. I think, and they've got a better they got a better quarterback than the Ravens. So I actually think they're a better team than the Ravens. And number 2, yes, I agree with you 100%. Joe Douglas has done a phenomenal. The Jets had a phenomenal draft last year. As we talked about, they had the offensive and defensive rookie of the year in Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, and then they drafted Breece Hall in the 2nd round. They hit a home run in last year's draft, and that's what set this up. They created a roster that made Aaron Rodgers want to come here. So Joe Douglas deserves a ton of credit for getting Aaron Rodgers here. Yeah,
he absolutely does. He's done a great job, and I know probably right around a year ago, people kind of thought this would be it, that maybe, this year coming in, if, Wilson didn't kind of come into the guy that, was the top 2 pick, Douglas would be in some trouble. But yeah, he's done an awesome job. He's brought life into that franchise that, hasn't seen it in about a decade when, Rex Ryan was still there. So it's been a while. And yeah, Joe Douglas done a phenomenal job with that team, kind of building it from the ground up because he took it over in a bad spot. And he's done a really, really great job with that team and has turned that thing around, pretty quickly. This is going to be his 3rd, 4th year, and he's done it pretty quickly to get this franchise going in the right direction.
Yeah, this is his 4th draft. Yeah, you look at where this team was, 2 years ago, or 2 years ago, they were one of the worst teams in the NFL with the drafting that he has done.
he's put this team in position. I know he missed on, he made a mistake on Zach Wilson, but with the drafting he's done, he's put this team in position to be a contender in the AFC.
Yeah, he absolutely has. And, the quarterback's like the spot you want to hit, but in this one, it worked out. He's kind of hit everything else but the quarterback, but now he kind of gets bailed out. And yeah, as you mentioned, Aaron Rodgers wanted to come here and play with this team. And, it's a testament to what he's been able to build through the draft. And, he's done a great job in that department so far.
Absolutely. So speaking of the draft, now we know the draft is tomorrow. We got to get to our mock draft. We did picks of all 31 teams, and we are going to begin, and we're going to start at number 1. This one's pretty obvious. I think it's pretty obvious what's going to happen at number 1. The Panthers, they weren't going to make this trade if they didn't know who they were going to take, and it's pretty obvious who they're going to take. They've made it pretty obvious. It looks like it's going to be Bryce Young with the number 1 pick. Really, outside of his size, it looks like he's got everything you want as a franchise quarterback, processes information well, he's mobile, he's got a pretty good arm. So with the first pick in my mock draft, I got the Carolina Panthers taking Bryce Young.
Yeah, no disagreement with you there. Yeah, Bryce Young, under O'Brien kind of ran that pro style kind of offense, so he's got that familiarity. And what I always liked about Bryce Young too, it's something that you don't always see is in a big spot in the fourth quarter, he's able to kind of slow down in the moment, and that's sometimes guys kind of panic in that spot, but he's a guy that's always kind of, he's ready for that moment, and he's kind of he's done a great job in that department. And I know the size is a little bit of a worry, but I think he's got all the tools and intangibles to be a really good NFL quarterback. And I think the Panthers be a great pick for the Panthers in the start of new rebuild into that new regime.
Absolutely. And it looks like this is going to happen. The draft is going to begin. The draft is going to begin here with the Houston Texans because nobody knows what Nick Caserio is going to do with the number 2 overall pick. But I just can't see them passing on a quarterback. I know they're talking about Will Anderson. I know they're talking about Tyree Wilson. I know they're talking about those guys, but I just can't see them passing on a quarterback. And that's why with the 2nd overall pick, I got the Texans taking CJ Stroud out of Ohio State with that pick. I think he's, 41 touchdown passes last year. He's passed, I think, the highest QBR in college over the last couple of years. I just can't see the Texans. Davis Mills has been okay, but he's just not he's proven the last 2 years he's not a franchise quarterback. I think the Texans need to get their guy. That's why I got them taking CJ Stroud with the number 2 overall pick.
I'm going actually in the defensive side of the ball. I'm going Will Anderson Jr. out of the edge rusher out of Alabama. This is, I think, for the Texans, now with DeMarco Ryan there, defensive guy, he wants to bring in a defensive stud like Anderson. And I think the hope is, I don't know, because I know there's been talk, and I think the Texans, their hope is that they keep Mills, and next year that, they win like 3 games and they get the first pick and they can go out and get Caleb Williams. There's just so many holes. I think that's kind of the hope. That's their plan, but it's more of a hope, I feel like, because you never know. They kind of messed up getting the number 1 pick this year, but Will Anderson, he's been one of the best defensive players the last couple of years in the sport. Wasn't great, wasn't great in that Tennessee game. Darnell Wright kind of slowed him down and did a good job against him, and Wright's a potential first-round pick, but Will Anderson, he's been a dominant force on the defensive end of the football the last couple of years, and I think that's where the Texans go here, the 2nd pick.
Yeah, I just don't think, I just can't see them going another year with Davis Mills as their starter. I just can't see them doing it. That's why I got them taking a QB, but it's going to be really, really interesting to see what they do at number 2. Now we'll go to another team that's going to be interesting to see what they do, and that's the Cardinals. I think a lot of people think they are going to trade the pick, and I personally think that's going to happen. I think the Cardinals trade the pick, and I think they move all the way down to 11, and I think the Titans trade up for this pick, and I think the Titans take Anthony Richardson. I think the Ryan Tannehill's days are coming to an end there, and they might just keep Ryan Tannehill this year. So then this is a pretty good place so Anthony Richardson could sit and learn from him, because it's going to be hard for Anthony Richardson to have success playing right away. He's very, very raw. Now, he has the highest floor. He's the highest ceiling of anybody in this draft, but he has the lowest floor. He's the biggest bust potential of anyone. But if everything comes together for Anthony Richardson, he has potential to be a top 5 quarterback. He has the most potential of anyone in this draft if everything comes together, if he puts it all together.
So I think the Titans, I think they're pretty much coming to an end with Ryan Tannehill. I think the Tannehill's days are coming to an end, and I think they trade up with the Cardinals and they take Anthony Richardson with the 3rd overall pick. Justin, who do you got? Do you have the Cards picking at number 3, or do you have them trading that pick?
I do have them picking, but yeah, sounds like they may actually trade back. But right now, I do got him. Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. 7'6" or 6'6", 270. Very explosive. Really does a great job getting off his blocks. Texas Tech's defense gotten a little better the last couple of years. From the Cliff Kingsbury days, and he's been a big part of the reason why. Arizona really, I think they got like the worst. Them and the Texans have the 2 worst rosters right now. Arizona could go pretty much anywhere. Right now, I could see them getting Tyree Wilson, trying to again get another defensive-minded head coach, start to build that defensive side of the ball, and I think that's where they go with the 3rd pick.
Yes, we'll see. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what Arizona does with that 3rd pick. Now, number 4 with the Colts. I mean, I think this is obvious. They need to go quarterback. They need to get their franchise guy. For me, I got the top 3 guys off the board. I got Young, Stroud, and Richardson off the board. So it's pretty obvious for me with the Colts. They got to go. They got to take a quarterback, and it's got to be Will Levis. I think the Colts take Will Levis with the number 4 pick. I think they got to stop the quarterback roulette there. It's been a merry-go-round. They just keep switching quarterbacks every year. They've had 7 different starting. They've had 7 different starting quarterbacks in the last 7 years. That has got to stop for this team. They need to get their franchise guy. And I got the Colts with the number 4 selection, taking Will Levis, a Connecticut guy there. Justin, you got the Connecticut guy going number 4 overall for the Colts.
I do as well. I got Levis going to Indy, and yeah, he looks like the prototypical kind of NFL quarterback at 6'5", 6'6", kind of long, big arm. Did not, was very inconsistent last year, but he probably had one of the worst offensive lines in the entire country, and he played through a couple injuries as well. So, he's a tough kid, but, I know the accuracy is kind of, the inconsistencies there as a passer is a worry. But yeah, I think he's kind of, I think, Indianapolis could develop into a pretty good quarterback, and yeah, they got to stop that roulette. And sounds like, Will Levis right now, number 4 going to Indy.
Yes, Indy needs to get their guy for the future. Now with the number 5 pick, it is the Seattle Seahawks. And we've heard rumors about a quarterback here. We've heard rumors about them taking a quarterback, but I think that would be dumb because I think this team, if they can get some pieces on defense, could compete in the NFC next year if Geno Smith plays as well as he did last year. So this is why I got the Seahawks going defense here. And the best defensive players is still on the board for me, and that's Will Anderson. And that's why it makes perfect sense. It fits a need too, that with the 5th overall pick, I got the Seahawks taking Will Anderson with this pick. I think he's really going to help their pass rush. I think he's going to be really, really good for this team if he gets drafted there. So I got the Seahawks taking Will Anderson with the 5th overall pick. Justin, who do you got the Seahawks taking?
Yeah, I go in same conference, but to a rival Georgia. I got Jalen Carter going off the board, D tackle. We know there was some off the field concerns there, in January, and I felt like, in that, in that semifinal game to Ohio State, I didn't feel like he had much left in the tank towards the end of that game last year. I've also read too that he's a guy that sometimes doesn't respond to tough coaching. And the thing is, I think he can be the best defensive player, in this draft, from this class. I think he's got the potentials off the wall for him. He's such a game wrecker. But the thing is, could he put it all together? Can the off the field, can the motivation factor, can he figure out a way to get through that? Because if he does, I think he can be a really dominant force at NFL level for years to come.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I think he could be. I think he could be a phenomenal player. I think he has the most upside of anybody, of probably anybody in this draft, because he could stop the run and he can get. And yes, he only had 3 sacks, but yeah, I think he can get pressure on the quarterback as well.
Yeah, he absolutely can. He's the dominant force. He was a big part of that anchor, that Georgia defense the last couple of years. We saw that what he was able to do, that 2021 team, that defense was one of the best defense we've seen in college football in a long time. So yeah, I completely agree with you. The upside is off the charts, but yeah, it's can a team maybe like Seattle kind of get to his full potential? Because yeah, that would be a home run pick for him.
Absolutely. So now we're going to talk about another team. It's kind of very similar to the Seahawks. Had a really good offense last year, did not have that good of a defense, but a team that if they can get some defensive pieces can compete for a Super Bowl, and that's the Detroit Lions. As we saw, that Lions-Seahawks game was like 47-42 last year. So looking at the Lions right now and looking at the fact that Will Anderson for me is off the board, I got them taking the next best defensive player, and that is Jalen Carter, and it fits a need. So that would be a perfect fit with the Detroit Lions. So with the 6th pick, I got the Lions taking Jalen Carter out of the University of Georgia.
I'm going on the secondary side of the ball. I'm going with Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. He's a ball hawking corner. I know the top speed may not be great, but he had 14 pass breakups last year. He's great at recognizing the routes. And yeah, Detroit really struggled in that back end last year. The defense was a struggle. Dan Campbell, and that offense was really good last year. But yeah, they got to add some defensive pieces. I think Witherspoon would be a really nice addition, and playing under Brett Bielema's, been in the NFL. I think it'd be a good pick for the Lions there.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And don't forget, the Lions got 2 first-round picks, so we'll be talking about what they do at 18 as well. Now, with the 7th overall pick, that is the Raiders. Yes, I think the biggest thing for the Raiders is, yes, they got some holes. On the offensive line, they got some holes. On that defensive line, they have some holes. But I think their biggest hole is in the secondary. And I think, yeah, if you want to talk about their defensive line, they have Max Crosby, who's one of the best edge rushers in the game. And then they also have Chandler Jones. I know he had a down year last year, but I'm not going to give up on him yet. That's why I'm gonna make my pick has the Raiders filling a desperate hole, and that's in the secondary, and that's why with the 7th pick, I got the Raiders taking Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. Justin, who do you got the Raiders taking at 7?
I'm going corner too, but I'm going Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. Physical cornerback, as you mentioned too. Yeah, they really need help in that back. They need help pretty much anywhere in defense besides the defensive line part. I think he's got some high upside too, because I think all the tools are kind of there for him. Now he's just got to put it all together, and maybe Vegas kind of be able to do that. For a guy at 6'1", he's got the rare speed to kind of keep up with downhill threats. With the top end speed that he has. So for the Raiders helping out that defense, they got him taking Gonzalez.
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders could go DN, they could go corner, but I think the best move for the Raiders would be to go with the defensive line. With the number 8 pick, I mean, this is the dream scenario. I've set up the dream scenario for the Falcons. Tyree Wilson is still on the board, and I think if he's there, the Falcons have to take him. This team was second to last in the NFL in sacks last year with 21. I think this is obvious as a slam dunk. If he's there, the Falcons have to take Tyreek Wilson with this pick, and I got him there, and that's why I got the Falcons with the 8th pick taking Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech.
I got him going outside their defensive end here with Nolan Smith. I know this is maybe a little bit of a reach, but I feel like if they can get the full potential out of him, he's a guy that, I know he's a little bit undersized to be playing that position. But he's another one, huge kind of part of that Georgia defense. Can make a lot of plays in the backfield. I know kind of injuries, playing 17 games, maybe tougher size, but I feel like, Atlanta, he could be kind of a playmaker in that defense, and they need that. So maybe a jump, but Nolan Smith, I got going to Atlanta, number 8.
Yeah, I can definitely see this team really needs to address they really need an edge rusher, and I think it would make a lot of sense to draft one with the number 8 pick. With the number 9 pick with the Chicago Bears, they had the number 1 pick, but they traded down to with the Panthers, and they end up getting DJ Moore with that in that trade. But I think this is interesting. I think the Bears, offensively, I don't really talk about a lot of offensive line, but I think they're set there. They don't. I know they're not set there, but they don't have as many needs there. I think there's 2 major needs with them, and one is edge rusher, and the other one is corner. And I think it's really came down to Christian Gonzalez or Nolan Smith for me. For me, I felt like Nolan Smith was a reach at 9, and that's why with the number 9 overall pick, I got the Bears taking Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. Justin, who do you got the Bears taking at number 9?
I'm going the offense side ball. I'm going Peter Sonorski out of Northwestern. He stepped in for Rashad Slater his freshman year, after he opted out, and he was second team all Big Ten. He's probably a better fit at guard in the NFL. But I think the Bears, Justin Fields, we kind of saw that we saw the potential in him last year. You want to keep him healthy. He got banged up last year. You want to kind of bulk up that offensive line. I know there's probably bigger needs out there, but I feel like you want to protect your franchise quarterback. And I feel like going off with the lineman here, could be a nice get here for Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, really, they can address the O-line and they can address pretty much anywhere on the defense outside of linebacker. That roster still needs some help. That roster definitely still needs some help. Even though they added a lot of pieces, they definitely still need some help to get to being one of the top teams in the NFC North. Now we got the defending NFC champions who have this pick because they traded last year with the Saints to get this pick. They traded one of their 3 first-round picks with the Saints to get this pick. So for the Eagles, for them, they don't have that many holes, but there is one kind of one hole on this team, and I think it's on the offensive line at the guard position because Cialamalo went to the Steelers. So, and it looks like for me, I don't have Skoronski. I have still Skoronski on the board, and I think there's a very good chance he's going to move to guard, as you said about with him with the Bears. So with the 10th pick, I got the Eagles taking Peter Skoronski and having him move to guard and play guard this year, start at guard for the Eagles with that number 10 pick.
I got him going defense. I got him getting Luca Van Ness from Iowa, the edge rusher out of there. Big run stuff for Iowa. We know Iowa always kind of fills guys in the NFL level, seems like every year. He had 14 sacks the last 2 years, which was tied for the most in Big Ten. Iowa does a great job developing guys. We know Eagles lost a couple of edge guys, in free agency. I know this one may be a little bit more of a reach as well, like Nolan Smith, but I feel like the potential with him is off the charts, and I feel like it would be a nice pick there for the Eagles.
Absolutely. With the number 11 pick, that is the Titans. But remember, if you guys who just tuned in, I had the Titans trading up to the number 3 pick to get Anthony Richardson. So for me, this is the Cardinals pick, and for me, I got the Cardinals taking Paris Johnson out of Ohio State. Kelvin Beachum, he's getting up there in age, and G.J. Humphries missed half the season last year. So, and you saw with Kyler Murray, he was a big investment he's a big investment this team's big investment last summer. So I think that the Cardinals need a guy to protect him, and that's why I got them taking Paris Johnson with the number 11 pick. But Justin, you still have the Titans in this spot. Who do you got the Titans taking?
I got him going like you with the number 3 pick. I got him going quarterback for C.J. Stroud. I think if he's still sitting there, number 11, which maybe a possibility depending on what the Texans and kind of some other teams that may be looking at quarterback. If they want to start that rebuild, if kind of sounds like maybe they're looking at Derrick Henry to maybe move him soon. But he had 85 touchdowns the last 2 years, which is the most in conference history. His play again, what he did against Georgia in that semifinal game, and that was against pretty much an NFL defense. And what he did, I think Stroud could be really good at the NFL level. And I think to kind of maybe start that rebuild with Tennessee maybe headed, I think CJ Stroud would be an awesome pick for the Tennessee Titans.
All right, we got a comment from Rodrigo. Hey, guys, what team is taking Bijan Robinson? Rodrigo, thank you for listening, and stay tuned. We will tell you what team is taking Bijan Robinson if you stay tuned. So stay tuned for that. But we got to get to the number 12 pick, and this is also the Texans pick. And they could go really, as you said earlier, they have one of the worst rosters in football. Even though they added some pieces this year, they still have one of the worst rosters in football, so they can go anywhere. But I think a hole on this team is definitely the receiver position. And I think, the number – I got them taking C.J. Stroud, and the number 1 receiver is Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think you put them together. You've seen what's happened with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow when you put them together. You've seen what's happened with Tua and Jalen Waddle when you put them together. You saw what happened with Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith when you put them together. So I think it makes sense to pair those guys together. I got, with the number 12 overall pick, I got Jackson Smith and Jigba going to the Houston Texans. Justin, who do you got the Texans taking with the 12th pick?
Yeah, I got the same pick as you, but going to division rival. Like I'm going to, same pick. I'm sorry, I don't know. I got the same pick, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I know we have not seen him play, since that Rose Bowl game against Utah, where he absolutely, had just a monster game. But he's great at creating space. Yeah, the Texans need need a kind of guy wide receiver. Again, maybe, even if Davis Mills not the future guy for next year to kind of help, maybe a rookie, or even if they do go at number 2, I think Jackson Smith and Jigba would be an awesome pick here for Houston and bring a little bit more excitement to that offense that doesn't have a ton of kind of big play threats like Smith and Jigba.
Absolutely. Now with the 13th pick, that goes to the Green Bay Packers, and the big reason why they have the 13th pick is because they swapped with the Jets. And I could see them going receiver here, but the best receiver got taken right in front of them. So I think with the 13th pick, I think Robert Tonyan being gone and looking at Dalton Kincaid in the game he had against USC was outstanding, and they lost Robert Tonyan. With the 13th overall pick, I got the Packer taking Dalton Kincaid out of Utah.
Yep, going right there with you. They what he did in that game against USC was unbelievable. 200 yards. He's just a match problem for the defensive with athleticism at the tight end position. Not a great blocker, but that's something that the Packers can kind of develop. Again, now that Aaron Rodgers is gone, you got Jordan Love now. You got to help out your new quarterback, and I think grabbing Dalton Kincaid here for the Green Bay Packers would be a great start to that. They need help at the weapon position. I think Kincaid would help fill that need there, as you mentioned too, as tight end losing Tanya as well.
Yes, absolutely. Now the Patriots are at the 14th overall pick. Justin, I'll let you go first because it's your favorite team. So, Justin, with the 14th pick, who do you got the Patriots taking?
I got him going Brian Branch out of Alabama. He just seems to fit the kind of what the Patriots want. He could play safety. He could play the nickel cornerback. He's a second-team All-American. Again, Bill Belichick loves taking Bama guys. It usually works out in our favorite. But he's a guy that Bill can use as a blitzer. He did that at Alabama. He's got great IQ. And, again, he could kind of start and fill right away in Devin McCourty's spot, day one. So I feel like this might be a reach, but this just seems like a Patriot type of player, and Bill doesn't usually pass those type of guys up.
Yeah, the Patriots because they do like to reach. But I think the Patriots need a tackle. They need a tackle. Yeah. Trent Brown had a very, very tough year at left tackle. My thing for them in the offseason was they either had to go get a receiver or they had to go get a tackle. They did get a couple pass catchers in the offseason. I wanted them to go out and get DeAndre Hopkins, but they did get a couple pass rushers in the offseason with Mike Gesicki, and they went out and got Juju Smith-Schuster, but they did not get Orlando Brown, who I think they very easily could have gotten. But in this draft, I got them with the 14th pick, taking Broderick Jones out of Georgia. You need to this is a big year for Mac Jones. You need a tackle that can protect him. So yes, I'm going with I'm going with Broderick Jones with the 14th overall pick for the Patriots.
Yeah, I like that pick. The Patriots could go a lot of spots there. Yeah, tackle is kind of the next spot. If I had Branch going higher, it definitely would have been a tackle. Probably would have been Jones. But yeah, they got to protect Mac Jones. This is a big year for him. As you mentioned, they got to figure out if he's the guy or not. And yeah, again, Trent Brown was horrible last year. Isaiah Wynn's gone now, so yeah, they need some help on that offensive line. I think Jones could be another awesome pick for him there at 14.
Absolutely. So now we got the Jets, and I think this is pretty obvious where they got to go here. They're very lucky to still have this pick because I know it's not as high. This just went from 13 to 15, but they're lucky to have this pick. And I think they obviously need to address one thing, and that's the offensive line, especially tackle, because you cannot count on Mekhi Becton to stay healthy. So I think with the 15th overall pick, I got the Jets going with Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. Justin, who do you got the Jets taking at 15?
Yeah, I'm going with the guy you just gave. You got the Patriot guy and Broderick Jones, the tackle out of Georgia here. At Aaron Rodgers' age, you got to keep him healthy. As you mentioned, Beckman has not been able to show the ability he could stay healthy. Might not be ready to kind of start right away, maybe. But I think he's a guy that could start right now, or he's a guy maybe another year back then. Hopefully he can stay on the field. He can kind of be his understudy for now. But yeah, the Jets need a tackle, I feel like, right now.
So we got Rodrigo. He is a Jet fan. So Rodrigo, we'll ask you a question. I know we're going to keep going with our mock draft. Who would you want with the number 15 overall pick? And also, you got to be pumped about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he absolutely does. Jets, it's a new day in New York for the Jet fans.
Absolutely. We got one listening with us right now. Now, we'll move on to our mock draft. But if Rodrigo wants to comment, we'll get back to him. With the number 16th overall pick, this is the Commanders' pick. I think something was a little bit telling today. They did not exercise the fifth-year option on Chase Young, so maybe you see them taking an edge rusher. But I still think they're set at defensive line. I think their biggest weaknesses are corner and linebacker, but there isn't really a linebacker that's projected to go in the first round. So for me, I'm going to take one of the top corners that's still on the board for them. With the 16th overall pick, I got the Washington Commanders taking Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State. Justin, where do you got Washington going at 16?
I got going secondary as well. I got him to your Nittany Lion, Joey Porter Jr. He was supposed to be like a top 10 pick going into the year, kind of sliding a bit back a little bit, but only had one interception on the year. But he started for 4 years there. He was terrific in man-to-man coverage. And he played a ton at Penn State, that man-to-man coverage. So I got Washington going secondary as well, but Joey Porter Jr.
So Rodrigo, he's on the same page as us. He wants Paris Johnson. He wants a tackle. I think that's so obvious for the Jets as tackle. That's just so obvious. I would be very, very surprised they don't take a tackle tomorrow night. If Johnson and Broderick Jones were on the board, or Darnell Wright, even any of those three guys, I'd be very, very surprised if the Jets don't take a tackle there.
Yeah, absolutely not. One of those three, I assume, is going to be on the board. So, yeah, the tackle, he's on the same page as us there. They not desperately, but, yeah, they need one. They need one big-time tackle there to make sure that Aaron Rodgers stays healthy this year.
All right, with the 17th overall pick, this goes to the Steelers. And I think there's two places you can go. Tackle, which they need to be better protecting Kenny Pickett this year because he's their franchise guy. And also corner because they did lose Cameron Sutton in the offseason as well. So those are the two weakest positions, I feel like, for the Steelers, a team with a pretty good roster. But I don't really think – I think the tackles are off the board. So for me, I got a reunion. I got Joey Porter going back to I got Joey Porter's son playing where his dad won a Super Bowl with the Steelers. I got the Steelers taking Joey Porter Jr. with this pick out of Penn State. I got the Steelers going Joey Porter Jr. with the 17th pick. Justin, who you got the Steelers taking at 17?
I got him going tackle Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. If he was a guy at the beginning of the year, people thought would be like a third-day kind of draft pick. But he had an awesome game there against Will Anderson. He kept, Hayden Hooker clean. You mentioned, Hooker had a lot of time in that game, drop back. And, again, the Steelers, you mentioned O-line was a big mess last year. They gave up, 40 sacks last year. They need help at that position drastically. I think Darnell Wright could bring that kind of help out that offensive line quickly.
Absolutely. And we got another comment from Rodrigo. Also, with the Rodgers, I'm happy as the alcohol and the liquor. He's very, I bet he was partying on Monday when the Jets got Aaron Rodgers. And now with the number 18th pick in the draft, this one goes to the Lions. I still think I think they go defense again, and I think they go defensive line again. It's really between D-line and corner, but I think that they would be reaching a little bit getting a corner at this point. So I'm going to go defensive line, and I'm going to pair the two Georgia guys together. I got them taking Nolan Smith with this pick. You got this defensive line, Nolan Smith, Aiden Hutchinson, and Jalen Carter. That's a really good defensive line for a team that is on the rise. So with the 18th overall pick, I got the Lions taking Nolan Smith from Georgia. Justin, who do you got with the 18th pick? And here's a clue. You're gonna get one of your answers, Rodrigo.
Yeah, I'm going running back here. Bijan Robinson. He's a really good, well-rounded back. I feel like nowadays you need to have you need to have that dynamic duo in the backfield. To be successful. Again, DeAndre Swift's been really good, but I know he missed some time last year. He's really good protection-wise. And again, with Swift too, he's averaged over 220 carries the last 2 years. So, he had a big workload there at Texas. Again, a little bit less of a workload with sharing the backfield with Swift. That would help. But I think Detroit here getting another offensive weapon would be nice there to complement Jared Goff. And I know he's not going to be there forever, but in maybe another year or two when they kind of maybe move on, get into the quarterback, bringing that in with him and Swift would be a nice, really good backfield.
And the thing is they did get David Montgomery, but you cannot count on him to stay healthy. Yeah. They did lose Jamal Williams to New Orleans. So yeah, I would not be surprised at all if this is definitely a spot. I think like 18, 19 definitely could be two very, very potential destinations for Bijan Robinson. So but we are going to move on to the Bucs pick. And with the 19th pick, this is a tough one. Yes, Bijan could go there, but look at this Bucs roster. Look at the way it's diminished over the last year. I just don't see them being a running back away from turning this thing around. I look at this roster, and I think tackle would be good, but I think the tackles are off the board. So I'm going to go with the next best thing. I think they need an edge rusher because Shaq Barrett is 30, coming off a torn Achilles. So that's why with the 19th pick, I got the Buccaneers taking Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa with that pick. Justin, who do you got them taking at 19?
I'm going Anthony Richardson. I'm with you. I think they're still they need another I feel like, with that division, that roster's not far off from from winning that division. Again, maybe Baker's their guy this year, but I think Anthony Richardson, again, you mentioned too, this guy could be, top 5 quarterback, or he could be like Jamarcus Russell bust, if he goes earlier than 19, with the potential there. If he doesn't make, really, his second reads are not great. The accuracy is an issue. Again, he struggled in South Florida, who had one of the worst offenses in college football in a long time. He struggled in that football game to complete passes. The talent's there. It's just, can he put it together? Maybe the Bucs are that organization that can help him out. But you mentioned he is really, really raw. And I got the Bucs taking him there at number 19.
And Rodrigo, he says, I want him on the Eagles just for the chaos. He did visit with them, so you might not be wrong.
Yeah.
That could be a potential destination. I think from running from 10 on could be. I don't know. All those teams will go for a running back, but yeah, they lost Miles Sanders. It could potentially happen there. But there is some potential that Bijan could go to the Eagles.
Yeah, I know you wouldn't be very happy with that.
I would not be happy at all. I would not be happy at all. I would not be happy at all.
Yeah, I could totally see that. The Eagles adding another running back, they've done a great job in that department the last couple of years. That would be a nice pick for the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. That offense would be even more scarier now, which is hard to imagine to get even more kind of scary with all the weapons they got already.
Exactly. Now with the number 20 pick, this is also the Seahawks pick, their second pick in the first round. And I think, again, they got to keep going defense, keep improving that defense. And I got them improving this defense on the interior. I got them taking Kalesia Clancy out of Pitt. I think he had 7 sacks last year. Really good at getting to the quarterback. Needs to improve against the run. But could you imagine Clancy and Will Anderson on that defensive line? Yeah. I think that in the future is going to be really, really good. So with the number 20 overall pick, I got the Seahawks taking Clancy out of Pitt. Justin, who do you got the Seahawks taking at 20?
I'm going interior line. I'm going at guard spot Osiris Torrance out of Florida. Transferred in last year from Lafayette under his, coach Billy Napier, who went to Florida with him last year. He's a guy that did not allow a sack on over 1,400 blocking snaps. He's a guy, they just gave Geno there that extension. Again, they gave up 46, 47 sacks last year. They need help in that department. Even if they do go with a younger quarterback and they do draft somebody at the first pick at number 5, even to have somebody there, another lineman to help, protect that young quarterback that they got bringing in too. I think Torrance is a good get there for them. They just need somebody that can at least protect the quarterback, because that's been a problem for the last couple of years. It's the offensive line.
Absolutely. And it did get Charles Cross last year, but yeah, it definitely has been an issue for the Seahawks in the last couple of years. Now with the number 21 overall pick, and let me tell you something, Rodrigo, you're going to get the second answer to your question. With the 21st overall pick, I got them taking Bijan Robinson. Here's why. There's potential I got the Chargers taking Bijan because I think there's potential that Austin Eckler could be traded. And I think this is the missing piece for the Chargers to go over the hump. If Eckler gets traded, I think this is the missing pice. I think, they got good receivers. I know Keenan Allen's getting old, but they still have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. They got 2 good edge rushers in Bosa and Mack. I mean, they're good in the secondary with Samuel and James. This, I feel like, is the missing piece to get the Chargers to become Super Bowl contenders. And this is why, with the number 21 overall pick, I got the Chargers taking Bijan Robinson.
I'm going offense as well, but I'm going wide receiver. I'm going for the guy that did not play too far from there, Jordan Addison out of USC. Big playmaker, another downhill threat for Justin Herbert. He's a guy, he's a smaller guy, but he rarely has any drops. Great hands. Was really productive at Pittsburgh, USC last year. Think he won the Biletnikoff again this year. So I think he won it 2 straight years. I know he won at Pitt. One of the best wide receivers, it's been one of the best wide receivers in the country the last couple of years. another threat, as you mentioned. I know Keenan Allen's getting a little bit older as well. Mike Williams still there, but another wide receiver there for Justin Herbert wouldn't hurt. And I think that's where could see the Chargers going there with number 21.
With the 22nd overall pick, and this pick goes to the Ravens. I got a homecoming. Here. The Ravens lost Marcus Peters. I got Deonte Banks, who played at Maryland. I got him grow up in Baltimore, playing at Maryland, and then playing for the Baltimore Ravens. I got the kid living out his dream. I got him. I got the Ravens taking him with the number 22 overall pick. Justin, who you got the Ravens taking at 22?
I'm going to somebody that could help out Lamar, or maybe help Lamar stay in Baltimore, help kind of the pursuit a little bit more. Quentin Johnson could be another big puzzle there, keeping him, but he had 163 yards against Michigan in the college football semifinal game. He's an athletic guy, downhill threat. They can even use him as an end around type of guy. I know, Baltimore kind of uses some gimmicky stuff, offensively. He could kind of add to that, but the downfall with him at times is kind of not looking the ball in every time. He's got some drops, but again, bulking up that wide receiver room, which we do, they do need. Could see Quinn Johnson going there to Baltimore, trying to help out Lamar there, and trying to keep him around for a little bit longer.
Yeah. You gotta try. Definitely gotta try to do that. Now at 23, that is the Minnesota Vikings, and I think the biggest need is corner. But the problem is all the corners for me are off the board. All the top corners. If they took a corner at 23, they'd be reaching. So I look at the next best thing, and that's depth at the receiver position, because they did lose Adam Thielen. He went to the Panthers. So I got them taking Zay Flowers out of BC. I think he's got some speed. I think he really could. I think he's going to be a good complement to Justin Jefferson. So with the 23rd pick, I got the Vikings taking Zay Flowers out of BC. Justin, who do you got the Vikings taking at 23?
Because I did have another cornerback left. I do got to get Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State. The guy's a playmaker on defense. He had 6 pick sixes, I think. Or he had 11 total in his career. He had, or he had 6 pick sixes, 6 pick sixes in his career, and he had 14 interceptions, in his career at Mississippi State. He's very good at play recognition. Again, by by kind of the interception numbers he had. But yeah, Minnesota needs a playmaker on that defensive side of the field. And I think he could be a big help to that, because as you mentioned, they need help anywhere, or mostly on that defense. I think Forbes could come in there and be an impact guy right away.
With the 24th overall pick, that goes to the Jaguars. And really, I think all their needs, defensive tackle, corner, and defensive tackle, corner, and offensive tackle, those would all be reaches. So I'm going to go with the best player available here with them, and that's Myles Murphy out of Clemson. I think you add him into that rotation with Trayvon Walker, with Josh Allen. I think that could really help this Jaguars team. That's why with the 24th overall pick, I got the Jags taking Myles Murphy here.
I'm going Clemson, one of his former teammates there, Brian Breesy out of Clemson. They've kind of invested a lot in that, with Josh Allen as well in that defense. He's an athletic guy up front. He's dealt with a lot of off the field issues. Lost his sister this year to cancer. Couple injuries. He had a kidney infection as well. Like he's battled through a lot, and I feel like you need some of that adversity to help you at the NFL level. And he's a former number 1 recruit as well. Like the potential, for him, I think, he's got a high ceiling there. Going with Trevor Lawrence, teaming back up with him, I think could be a nice piece there in that defensive side of the ball. Yeah, might be a little bit of a reach, but I think with all the talent there, if he could stay on the field, I think he could be a difference maker with that defense.
All righty, at 25 is my Giants, and I think there's 2 big needs. I think corner and receiver, but I do think if they took a corner at this point, they'd be reaching. You got 2 good receivers on the board with Quentin Johnson and Jordan Addison. If it comes between those 2, I'm going to go Quentin Johnson, because the Giants, you can see the receivers, they got a lot of smaller receivers. They don't have that big receiver. And I think Quentin Johnson, I know separation has been, and drops have been a criticism of his, but I think, he ran a 4.4. I think he can get separation. I know drops are an issue, but I want the Giants to get, I know they got Darren Waller, but he has injury concerns. I want Daniel Jones to get a receiver that he could throw the ball to. Like Joe said on John about the G-Men on Monday, a guy he could throw the ball to on 3rd and 7, on 3rd and 5, a guy who could make plays. That's why I got the Giants taking Quentin Johnston with the number 25 overall pick. Justin, who do you got the Giants taking at 25?
I got to go wide receiver as well, but the guy from BC, Zay Flowers, again, the Giants have had a lot of wide receiver injuries there the last couple of years. They've had guys kind of struggle, say, on the field. He had an outstanding senior bowl week. He's had some drops as well, but he's really awesome as a route runner. And he's always been a problem after the catch, the way, guys have kind of struggled to tackle him in space. I think he's a guy that come in and help Giants out at the wide receiver position because there's a big need there. You just need a guy to stay healthy. You need to kind of get that depth. So I got the Giants going Zay Flowers here.
If you're going to contend with the Cowboys or Eagles in this division, you got to have that guy. Because you look at the games they played against the Cowboys and Eagles. The Eagles, they really, in those 3 games, did not get over 20 points. I know they got 22 points, but that was a garbage time touchdown at the end. And even in the Dallas game, they didn't get over 20 points because that was another garbage time touchdown in the end. So if you're going to keep up with Dak, you're going to keep up with Jalen Hurts, you have to. I think Daniel Jones has proven to be a franchise quarterback. I think he's got the skill set to be a franchise quarterback. Now he needs that guy. He needs that guy he can rely on. And it's so crucial for the Giants to get that guy in this draft. Because Darren Waller, you can't bank on being that guy. The Giants got to get that guy in this draft, that receiver. And I think if Quentin Johnston is there, or there is a receiver, if there's a Quentin Johnston, there's a Zay Flowers, there's a Jordan Addison there, the Giants got to take him. That's why I really, really want the Giants taking a receiver at number 25.
Yeah, absolutely. You should. Yeah, you got to keep up. Again, yeah, I think we saw Daniel Jones make the strides last year, but he still only had 15 touchdown passes, and again, I know that's a lot because the injury concerns. Yeah, the tight end now with Waller helps to bring him in. Can he stay healthy? Again, when he's healthy, he's one of the best tight ends in the league. That the problem is, can he stay on the field? So yeah, Giants, they want to keep up with Jalen Hurts of the world, the Dak Prescotts of the world. They're going to have to score some points, and adding any receiver in the first round sitting there, going to be a good pick there for the Giants to help out Daniel Jones even more because they've invested a lot of money into him. I thought it was a little bit more than they should have gave him. But look, if they believe in him, you got to get him the help now and give him the best chance to succeed. And adding wide receiver here would be that best case scenario for him.
Absolutely. Now, with the number 26 overall pick, I think this is a pretty obvious one. It's a good player on the board. It completely fits a need for the Cowboys because they lost Dalton Schultz in free agency. At the 26th pick, I got the Cowboys taking Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame. Justin, who do you got? The Cowboys taking at 26?
Yeah, I got going Michael Mayer too. I know I don't pay attention too much to player comparison, but it's Jason Witten. So I think the Cowboys will love that there. Big producer for the Irish there the last 3 years. I think it'd be filled a really key need there for the Dallas, as you mentioned. Schultz is gone.
Absolutely. I think that would be a really good hole for the Cowboys to fill there. Now at 27, we got the Bills, and I could have went a couple other ways. I could have went receiver here. I could have went. I could have maybe went offensive line, but I think an O-line would have been a reach here for them. Maybe even defensive line because of Von Miller coming off an injury. But I am going to go with the position they have really. I think I'm going to go with the position something they've really struggled to do over the last 3 years, and that's run the football. And I know they got Damian Harris. I know they got James Cook and Naheem Hines on this roster. But I think they need a guy. They need a back. They need to improve that room. If they're going to make a deep playoff run, you saw what happened last year against the Bengals with them not being able to run the football. If this team is going to make a deep playoff run, they have got to get a running game. And that's why with the number 27th pick, I got the Bills taking Jamari Gibbs from Alabama with that pick. Justin, who do you got the Bills taking at 27?
I got him going on the linebacker position, Drew Sanders out of Arkansas. Did a great amount of blitzing there at Arkansas, but only started 1 year. I know the Bills lost Edmonds, but he's a guy who can play inside or outside linebacker and or an outside rusher actually. But I think the Bills will be. I think Bills. I like the running back pick there with Gibbs. I think that could be another one. But I feel like Bills defensive side of the ball, going there with Drew Sanders and we'll see kind of filling that hole there for Tremaine Edmonds after they lost him.
Yeah, I could see that, but I do think Drew Sanders is a little bit of a reach there for the Bills. I think I know linebacker's a need, but I do think he's a little bit of a reach.
Yeah, no, I could see. It was tough. I was either doing him or Jack Campbell were the two there. The two linebackers. I know they're both maybe a little bit of a reach, but I think I could see the Bills there kind of filling that hole there for tight end or for a linebacker.
Yes, I could see that too. Now, with the number 28th pick, that goes to the Bengals. I think one of their big needs is safety. I know they drafted Daxton Hill last year, but they did lose one of the top safeties in the league in Jesse Bates. I know they could improve their edge rushers. They could improve. They could always even improve on the offensive line. But I think with best player available and need, I think this pick fits them. That's why I got the Bengals taking Brian Branch with the number 26th overall pick. Number 28 overall pick. Justin, who do you got the Bengals taking at 28?
I got him going secondary as well, but I got him getting Banks out of Maryland. First on the scene freshman year, played like the final 8 games, I believe, that year. Another secondary kind of piece for that defense. As you mentioned, they lost Jesse Bates, so I think you guys come in and can play pretty early there for the Bengals. And again, at 28 would be a steal for him because I know you had him going pretty early. I know a lot of people have him going pretty early. Just the way I guess my mock draft kind of fell. He's sitting there at 28. I think it would be a great pick there for Cincinnati.
It absolutely would. Now, the number 29 pick. This goes to the New Orleans Saints. And I think a big need for the Saints is edge rusher. I think, especially defensive line, because they lost a couple of the Falcons in free agency. They lost Marcus Davenport. Cameron Jordan's getting up there in age. Defensive line is definitely a big need for the Saints. And I got them filling with that need. And I got them taking Will McDonald out of Iowa State. Justin, who do you got the Saints taking at 29?
I got him going edge rush too. I got Miles Murphy out of Clemson, consistent guy. He's an elite pass rusher, can impact the plays, even when he doesn't get to the quarterback. But yeah, as you mentioned, they lost Davenport. Cam Jordan's getting up there in age. Feel like he's a guy that could help New Orleans right now. And yeah, as a team right now that's a favorite to win the division, could kind of help them out there and provide a pass rush there for the Saints defense.
Alrighty, we got the defending NFC champions picking again. It's like the rich are getting richer, They win the NFC and they got 2 first-round picks. But we got, for me, I think some of the Eagles' needs, I think one of them is at safety, but because they lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson this year, but that's not going to matter. That's going to be a reach now because Brian Branch is off the board. And they filled that hole at guard. There is a little bit of a hole at linebacker, but also they got Nakobe Dean. There's a hole at defensive tackle, but Clancy's already off the board. So for me, I feel like why not just get another pass rusher if you're them with that extra pick? So for me, with the 30th overall pick, I got the Eagles taking. I know I'm gonna have trouble pronouncing his name. He's the guy from Kansas State. You can help me, Justin. He's the guy from Kansas State who won the Big 12 Rookie of the Year. Felix and Duke Uzama. I got them taking him with the 30th overall pick. Justin, who do you got the Eagles taking with the 30th pick?
I am getting Clancy out of Pittsburgh, the D tackle, as you mentioned. Yeah, a little bit undersized, but I think he's one of the best. He's one of the best pass rushers. He's got an explosive first step. He's a guy that just never quits on a play. He's just got a high motor. And I think the Eagles kind of, again, that defensive line was a huge part of their success last year. They lost a couple guys. I've already got them getting an edge guy. Now bringing in the D tackle to kind of bulk up that defensive line yet again here. I got him, Clancy pretty close to where he played his college ball going to Philly. Gotcha.
Imagine that. Imagine if they can get Clancy with that pick. That would be almost replacing Jerron Hargrave there.
Yeah.
It'll take him a couple of years, but that'd be replacing what they lost with Jerron Hargrave. Now, at the last pick of the first round, that's the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, I could go tackle because they did lose both of their tackles in the offseason, but that would be kind of a reach. So I'm going to go receiver here because they did lose Juju Smith-Schuster, and I'm going to go with Jordan Addison. I got the Chiefs taking Jordan Addison here with this pick. I think this is a pick that's going to help their receiver room, and that's why I got them taking Addison with the 31st overall pick.
Yeah, I got Jahmyr Gibbs. I got him going running back there. I think he reminds me of Alvin Kamara because of his patch catching abilities, and he's such a mismatch in the open field. He's just awesome route runner as well. And going back and watching his highlight tape, whenever it felt like Alabama was like in a tough spot, when they kind of were stuck in they were struggling to move football. That's where Saban got him the football any way they could. And I feel like the Chiefs adding him would just be, another, if they get Addison or as Rodrigo mentioned there, Jalen Hyatt as well, like any other offensive weapons there, would be a great get to continue to help that offense out. So I am getting Gibbs out of Alabama.
Yes. Yeah. Any offense that could help them out would definitely be good for that team. But that is going to conclude our mock draft, and that is going to wrap it up for this edition of Sports Talk with R&J. But we're not done today. We're going to be back in 5 minutes talking about the NBA playoffs. So make sure you tune in for that.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach of college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part. Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.